Listing the 5 prevalent approaches to leadership and the best way to pinpoint your own. Leadership is a concept that is not fixed. Most leaders alter their approach depending on the conditions they find themselves in. As they spend more time in their role, they become more attuned to their staff and modify their style of leadership accordingly. To become a successful leader, one needs to have an understanding of the current situation. This article examines 5 generally recognized leadership styles and how efficient they are. A leadership style is a set of behaviors and strategies employed by a leader to guide and direct a group. The way a leader manages, motivates, and directs their group is known as their leadership style. This style is what helps them create a plan, put it into action, and deal with any modifications while upholding the trust of stakeholders and looking after the welfare of their team. When we look at renowned leaders, it's pretty obvious that each one of them uses a unique approach to leading. It is essential to recognize one's approach to leadership to understand how to be an effective leader. A leader must comprehend their approach to leadership. Once they have a firm grasp on their leadership style, they can observe how this impacts the people they manage. This knowledge can also help them identify their strong points in leadership and identify areas that need improvement. While some leaders can place their leadership style in a certain group, it is not always so straightforward. Generally, they will exhibit traits of multiple leadership styles. A useful way to figure out your leadership style is to solicit honest feedback from your team. Taking in this feedback allows you to tweak your style daily to become a better leader. Transformational leadership is a type of leadership style that focuses on inspiring and motivating employees through creating a vision and developing a culture that encourages boosting performance. Being in group events, it is common to find someone taking the lead, interacting with everyone and envisioning a unified goal. This individual is likely to be labeled as a transformational leader. Transformational leadership is a technique that puts focus on evolution and transformation. Leaders who use this strategy make an effort to motivate their followers to do better than what they initially thought, by unlocking their abilities. This type of leadership is quite successful in organizations that are attempting to make substantial alterations. Significant properties of transformational leadership include concentrating on the future. Transformational leaders always look forward and take into account what needs to be done to meet the organization's ambitions. They spread this mindset to their followers. Concentrating on change. Leaders with this style of leadership are familiar with change and understand that it is necessary for the organization's success. They make sure that their followers are comfortable with it and can adjust to it. Concentrating on people. Transformational leaders recognize the potential in their followers. They strive to cultivate their followers' strengths so they can reach their highest potential. The delegation leadership style involves assigning roles and tasks to subordinates and then having them complete the work with minimal oversight from the leader. Usually referred to as laissez-faire, the delegating leadership style involves giving initiative to team members. This is one of the least intrusive types of leadership, which translates to allow them to do. Thus, it is considered a hands-off leadership style. Leaders who choose this approach trust their employees, not intervening and providing guidance or feedback. Rather, they offer their team the liberty to use their creativity, resources, and experience to reach the desired goals. This strategy can be successful when team members are skillful and take responsibility for their part. On the other hand, it can lead to conflicts among team members and divide the group. It can be hard for new people to adjust to this leadership style and for staff members to comprehend who is accountable and responsible for results. Therefore, it is important to keep this style of leadership in check. Leaders with an authoritative style of leadership are often seen as having a vision. They act as mentors to those who follow them, as opposed to authoritarian control. This follow-me approach involves guiding and motivating their teams to encourage achievement. To be successful, authoritative leaders must be able to get to know each team member, so they can provide tailored guidance and feedback. As teams get larger, the leader must be prepared to adapt. Authoritative leadership is very active, but leaders must be careful not to become overly controlling, as this can lead to negative feelings within the team. Gain the ability to be successful in a top-level international role. Transactional leadership is a type of leadership style in which the leader outlines what is expected from the followers and puts in place a system of rewards and punishments for a meeting, or failing to meet, those expectations. Transactional leadership, frequently called managerial leadership, is a leadership approach that is based on rewards and punishments. This sort of leadership has a strong focus on organization, assuming that people may not have the drive required to finish their duties. With this reward system, a leader sets out clear objectives, or assignments, for their workforce. Leaders also make it obvious how their teams will be rewarded, or punished, for their labor. Remunerations can take many forms, but usually involve a monetary reward, such as pay, or a bonus. This give-and-take leadership style is more concerned with effectively following standard operations and protocols than with making any revolutionary changes to an organization. Transactional leadership defines roles and obligations for each worker. Nevertheless, it can bring about diminishing outcomes if personnel are continually conscious of how much their effort is worth. For that reason, it is vital that incentives are consistent with company objectives and backed up by additional acts of gratitude. Leadership involves input from those being led and encourages their involvement in decision-making processes. This approach of leadership, often referred to as democratic leadership, encourages leaders to pay attention to their subordinates and include them in the decision-making process. It requires the leaders to be inclusive, has good communication skills and, most of all, be willing to share power, responsibility. Adopting this kind of leadership, it promotes collaboration and accountability as a team, which leads to collective problem-solving and solutions, instead of blaming individuals. This style of leadership has been used by a wide range of leaders in many organizations for a long time. Yet, as the way of working has evolved, mainly due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, and teams have become more decentralized, it has become more difficult to apply this leadership style. Open and candid communication is usually related to participative leadership, but this could be difficult to sustain with remote working or virtual teams. Participative leadership is favored since it helps create trust with employees, empowering them and motivating them to share their opinions on important matters and show their worth to the group. What is the best method to identify one's leadership style? Identifying a leadership model that is right for you can make you a more successful leader. No matter if you manage a big or small group, your leadership style has a considerable influence on how your group perceives you. Here are some points that can guide you in the right direction. Primarily, it is essential to be precise about your objectives and what you seek to accomplish. When you have a definite vision, it will be simpler to communicate your thoughts to your team and motivate them to support you. Secondly, try different approaches. There are various leadership styles, and the best way to discover the one for you is to explore different methods and observe what works best for you and your group. Lastly, keep in mind that leadership is not about being flawless, it is about leading with sincerity. When you lead with a sense of enthusiasm and purpose, other people will be naturally attracted to you and your words. Bear in mind, as a leader it is essential to be ready to, and to look for, comments and be willing to modify your approach as necessary. What kind of style did you connect with? Do you think that the leadership style you currently use is effective? Acquire the talents to stand out as a top international administrator. Uncover unexplored aspects of yourself as a mindful chief, remarkably successful, and attain far-reaching effects in your individual and professional life.